Hi, it's your astrologer from belladeveraofficial.wordpress.com, and I wanted to make another birth chart reading for Harry Styles. So I'm making your video this time about Pluto. That's a generational planet. So tons of people our ages have a Pluto in Scorpio, and Pluto rules Scorpio. So in general, Pluto and Scorpio people don't mind Pluto stuff as much as some other ones do. And it's kind of a deep placement to have. You're really, really Pluto-ish and Scorpio-ish, with this placement. Um, um, and I wanted to talk about, um, for one thing, for Pluto, that's like inner demons and, such things. And you're allowed to, have all the everything about you that there is, and we're all supposed to accept that about each other and give each other unconditional love, not put conditions on each other. Um, Unconditional love is just when you take the person as your own, like one with you, like, you care about what they need and what, all those things, about a person, and you don't put conditions on them for, like, if I give you unconditional love or if you do that for me, I don't say, well, you need to do this and that and the other thing for me to give you unconditional love, because that's not that, obviously. Unconditional is when you don't say that to someone, when you know, do nice things for them, you care about them, what they need, how they are, all those things, without getting something in return for it. But it can go both ways. You take care of your unconditional love for people and other people take care of their own for you. You don't run theirs and they don't run you, doing that. Um, but we have to keep in mind no one's going to be perfect at this, so don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect at it, because there's nothing to do that about. There's no reason to do that. It's We're all human. We're all allowed time to be able to figure out how to be people. But to heal, I came up with this process. I see other people coming up with processes of healing. I'm calling this the own myself practice, and I need to put this on my temporary website, which I'm saying still in all my videos. I'm gonna make my own website and put it on there too. But I've come up with this. I haven't looked at anyone else's and say, you know, oh, that's a good idea. I'll just, say that too. I don't. I, I don't know of anyone that has this specific one. Um, there's a little bit on the back too. I wrote some other notes. I'll explain all this then. I I know of people that come up with these processes to heal, and it's all along the same lines. But the more you can put to this, the more you're gonna really heal. So the thing is, for one thing, I wanted to say your boundaries, you take care of your own boundaries, and another person takes care of their own boundaries. And if you let someone cross your boundaries, that's your decision. That's not their decision. Unless you're in some circumstance where you're tied up and you got knocked out and you can't do anything about it and, blah, 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 that kind of situation. That's not what I'm talking about. When you're a victim of such circumstances, even though law of attraction is a part of it, you got there because of your own whatever law of attraction stuff in the first place. If you're a victim beyond that, beyond what is your decision, that's not what I'm talking about in this. This is for everyday relating where you decide how you feel, what you keep in your life, what feelings and what root feelings you have, whether or not you heal or how much you do, that's your own decision and your own doing. Like, no one else can heal you for you. So your boundaries are yours, and how to trust yourself. Find the good evidence of about you that you like, and you know, uh, that kind of thing. Like, accept the good things about you, and like, uh, you know, find the good evidence of why you like or should like what you do like about yourself, or with the good things about you, and um accept that about you, and want to share that with people. That'll get you on the right, path to, like, being around people, trusting yourself to be around people, or trusting people to be around you. But also, part of that is the boundaries thing, knowing that you own your own boundaries and that someone else owns their own boundaries, and their decisions are theirs and your decisions are yours. If you want to go ahead with something good or bad or whatever else, that's up to you. You're allowed. But it's your own boundaries, and you have to own that. That's how you can trust yourself to be around people. Know that especially all adults, you know, you're allowed to be around children too and everything else. We all are. It's not about, age versus age or anything, but I'm just saying, basically, I just wanted to talk about adults relating to each other, because we all have more of a responsibility than children. But as adults, you need to trust that the other person knows what their own boundaries are, and if they want to cross their own boundaries, that's up to them. You don't need to be responsible for that. If they're okay with crossing their own boundaries, even if they wanted to blame you for that, that's not nice. You need to own your own boundaries, and they need to own their own boundaries. Like, if I own my own boundaries and I want to be around you, and if we're getting drunk, that's my decision, not yours. You're not putting that on me. I'm allowed to do that, with you if I want, or you're allowed to do that with me if you want, or whatever kind of, example you want to give. Your own boundaries are yours, and you need to trust yourself that you're allowed to be around the other person, and that you own your own boundaries, and that they do. You don't need to own their own boundaries for them. If they want to go ahead and do something good or bad or unhealthy or healthy or whatever else there is to do, that's up to them. They're allowed. You don't need to worry about it. We're all supposed to have people in our lives, and we all need to accept that we're all the same. We all have Pluto. We all have inner demons, of some sort or another, or to some degree or another, or whatever. If I want to share all of mine, or some of them, or one, or whatever with you, or whatever, that's me deciding that. You're allowed to be around me no matter what I'm telling you about me, or sharing with you, or being a part of with you, and but just because you have these not good things about you, and I do, and everyone else on this planet does, doesn't mean we're not supposed to have people in our lives. Doesn't mean whenever we're doing something healthy or good or okay, that these other things, that we're sharing or not sharing, that doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't, there's no weighing good and bad, or, like, good and bad of, these things, like, we all need people in our lives. So we all need to accept that We all have these things in our lives, and there's no, oh, I have two of these and you only have one, so we should or shouldn't be around each other. That's not the way it works. We all have our own amount of stuff, and it doesn't matter what amount it is or whatever or what it is. We all need people in our lives, and no one ever has a perfect better way of living. So the key is to think about boundaries. That's how to trust yourself to be around someone. You own your own boundaries, they own their own boundaries. You don't own someone else's boundaries for them. So you can just relax and not worry about it. If someone else wants to cross their own boundaries or have people do that, that's up to them. You're allowed to do that if you want, if they accept it, whatever. You don't have to be responsible for their own boundary. That's not up to you. And if you want to be in someone's life as a friend or whatever else, you're allowed. All these kinds of weighing and outweighing things. That's not how life works. The key is the boundaries thing, and that you own your own. If you're accepting you crossing your own boundaries with someone, you're allowed. So what? Be a person and live the way you want to live. Whatever. But that's one thing I wanted to say. And the other thing slipped my mind at the moment. I'll make another video if I can't think of it. I do that sometimes because I talk a lot. But so anyway, the thing I was saying before, I haven't come across this specific thing from other people. There are things in this from everyone, their own practices, because that is the way to heal, to get to the root of something. But I hadn't seen this specific outline from anyone, so I'm calling this my own because I have come up with this on my own without seeing this from anyone else. So if anyone else has this, whatever. But this is the way to heal. Like th- all of our outlines, what's in them, and if you go even farther, you can heal even more. Maybe whatever. I don't know, but some key things is in everyone's, or if you come up with your own, some of the key things are going to be in everyone's. You can't magically come up with a special way of healing. Like, we're all people, we're all the same thing. We all heal and get hurt the same kinds of ways. So some of the key things is what is in everyone's, except everyone has their own different kind of way or amounts of doing this. So I don't know who all does this or doesn't. This is my own specific one that I'm going to put on my website. And I'm not going to cost any money for this, any practices or anything. This is just for free for everyone all the time. And I wanted to share it with you. So, whenever I talked about Jupiter beliefs, but this isn't necessarily about beliefs. This is about hurts and not hurts, being healed and not being healed. But there's roots to this too. So let's say today you and me talk, and I say something nasty, or you say something nasty to me. Most likely, we've said it to other people, or someone else said it to us before. So the root is the first time it happened. So it's probably in your childhood somewhere, probably from maybe one of your parents, maybe a sibling, maybe an aunt or uncle, or you know, so forth like that. That's the root, the first time it happened. So if I say, I hate giving examples of me because I'm not saying anything mean about you. But if I say, or if you said something, uh, I'll give you a dumb example because I've never, I want to give you an example of something that has never happened before because I don't like, because it's not true. So, uh, let's say, well, if you happen to say, what's a good example? I can't think of good examples, but whatever has hurt you, if uh, the Jupiter thing I said about the pen marks, let's use that as an example, whatever. I don't presently see any pen marks in your face, so this is a good example, and I don't think this way anyway about anyone or you. I don't give a crap if you have pen marks on your face, but let's say I did for some reason. I don't, but anyway, let's say you have a big, orange pen mark on your face, and I say it's ugly. Um, if that hurts you any amount or it hurts the crap out of you, you know, I could maybe be the first person that said that to you, but there's a big chance that I didn't. There's a big chance that someone else already said it, and it's just bringing it up again. You see what I'm saying? There can be instances in adulthood where someone did or said something the first time that hurt you, but a lot of time it doesn't work that way. A lot of times someone else already said it. If you're already hurt about it, you probably already got hurt and didn't heal it from the past. If you're still hurt about it, most likely, because it got triggered again. There's a difference too between me saying something that isn't me being mean and it just triggering something and me actually saying something mean. You see what I'm saying? If something gets triggered about the past, if it's not something mean that I'm doing or saying to you, but it gets triggered from the past, from you being hurt and not being healed from it, that's something to think about too. But let's say you today we're in person, like I said, at a restaurant, and I say the orange pen mark's hideous. You know, let's say someone else said it before the first time. Let's say your great aunt, whoever, said it to you. Let's say that's the first time it happened, you know, when you were 2 years old, if you can remember then, I don't know, or four, whatever. The way I do this too, by the way, if I had clients for my foundation, which is free for everyone, and I'm helping someone with this, I don't want to hear from anyone that, the images you get. Let's say the first time it happened is when you're a baby. Don't say baby because no one remembers when they're an actual baby. And we all have been there, so obviously, I don't want to heal the baby in you because we all have that in us. You see what I'm saying? I want to do this more real, more to the root of things, than more specific than just, oh, I was a baby once, because obviously we all were. Because I've seen other people do this, and this is my own practice. I don't like that way. We've all been that way, so I don't want to do it that way. What I want to do is think of the first time it happened, the images, the whatever else is you're getting, let it come to you naturally. What feelings you have, what, where you are, what time in life it is, what people are around, all those kinds of things, I don't want you to try to force something to come up that you can heal. I want it to be a natural thing, memories and such things, But don't. this is my own advice. This is my own thoughts on this. So if you have your own process, that's great, whatever you want to do. But this is mine. So I don't like the whole I'm getting the image of a baby thing. I don't want to heal the baby. That's what we all were once. So, you know, if it happened when you were a baby, obviously it could have, but who remembers when they were 0 years old? No one does, or 2 weeks. Our brains aren't made to remember that far back. Usually, they're made to remember early childhood. But so let's just say if the first time it happened was when you were, you know, whatever, whatever age it is. If you wanted to tell me that, that's great. If the first time it actually happened was when you were 15, that's great too. Let me know that if I was actually talking with you and helping you with this, or if you're 5 or whatever. Don't say baby, like say like child or something general like that. But the images or the feelings or the people around or the whatever else, the memory, that's what it is that you want to know about the first time something happened. That's what you want to really think about, like the whole scenario, not that you were a baby, because we all want the baby in us to be taken care of, obviously. So, anyway, let's say you got to the root of it. You either tell me the first time it happened, like if you actually are presently like 5 years old at the moment and something just happened today for the first time, you could do it that way. Like, not that you are Harry, but like, I'm just saying, like, you can think about it like that, like, get to the root of it, like, straight away, like, think of the first time something happened, or if you're in adulthood and I said the orange mark is ugly or whatever, and it happened before, you have to get to the root of it like that. So either way, you do that little process and you have to get your feelings triggered, get in an emotional state about it, whatever it is that actually hurts you, the situation the first time it happened. And now you want to do this about the present situation too, if there is one, or if there isn't one, if it's just from childhood or something, like that. You want to keep in mind the present situation too, and the first time it happened, or, however, hope you know what I'm saying. So keep in mind, like if we're at this restaurant, for an example, and the pen mark thing, you know, you have to heal this moment and the root of it, you know. So you do this for both situations, kind of, this process that I came up with. Uh, it's kind of, a long thing because you can't stay on the surface level of any of this. And the other key thing is to heal and to understand people. You can't say, okay, no, I'm having a time of doing this. That there's no such thing as having a time of being unconditionally loving towards someone. You got to do this during your everyday life. You got to be in the mindset of thinking this way, like getting to the root of things. So you're not getting passive aggressive. You have to. get to the root of things on a daily basis in every moment. You don't have to, but if you are doing this, I'm just trying to get the point across that you don't. I have been my whole life passive aggressive, and especially about healing. I buried my feelings, especially from the past, didn't want to deal with it, didn't want to hear about it, didn't want to have feelings about anything. I truly, it, my Scorpio South Node, this is this way for us. Your South Node being in the Scorpio house, it's the same thing. Emotional and whatever mental trauma, you know, from growing up. That's what a Scorpio South Node is. So anytime anyone was nice to me, especially in adulthood or, whatever, once I'm really, aware of life and my surroundings and people and, whatever, it scared the crap out of me. It's a horrid feeling whenever someone's nice to me, especially before right now, especially when I was 20 or so, like even after that, but especially before then too. Especially my grandmother. She was one of the nicest people to us, trying to show us the most love more than any of my parents ever did. And whenever she was nice to us, there for us, present with us, it's a horrid feeling when you're so used to expecting not love. And then when you get love, it's like a horrid feeling. But you got to get rid of those feelings, practice everyday life, like not having a moment for this, not having a time for this. You got to get rid of the passive aggressive, perfect feelings towards people. Just forget being perfect towards anyone. You don't need to be. You don't need to have perfect feelings towards anyone. You need to accept all of your feelings all the time, whatever they are at any moment in your life, every moment, and live that way. Like accept all the feelings you have, the bad feelings you have towards everyone, and why. You have to get to the root of it, though, of what's actually going on. And whether it's jealousy, you don't want to lose a person, or the root of something because someone hurt you in your childhood, or whatever it is, like that. Fear of abandonment because of if a relative did that, which that has happened to me in my childhood. You have to get to the root of it, and you have to figure out like how to not have the passive aggressive. Okay, we're all being nice right now, so let's have perfect feelings towards each other. That's not a realistic way of living. People so many times get in this happy moment, and get all like I've done this too plenty of times, all my life. This giddy happy moment of where everything's okay, and you can't live in that bubble of, and then it getting burst and then you're getting back in it. You have to be in reality. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. We all have these imperfect things about us. We all need to accept it all about us and each other. Live that way, accepting everything about you all the time. So you're not getting in this passive aggressive, okay, now I don't want to deal with this unhappy or happy moment, And so, like I was saying though, you have to get your feelings triggered about the situation, about the present moment, and about the past too, the first time it happened. Um, so you want to bring up your feelings about it. The pen mark situation maybe, if that's not a good situation, because I'm not sure if that would quite hurt people as much as other things would. But as a child, it could, especially growing up and your brain being developed still, as a child. If someone did that to you, I don't know if they did or didn't, but you can think of a specific thing for yourself. Tons of things, you can do this for everything. and think of, something that hurt you. Like, if I said something now and there was a first time it happened, though, you need to think about me and you and the other person, the first person that ever said it. So let's just use a pen mark for an example because I don't know what else to say. So let's say you're getting your feelings triggered about this. You got to do that. You got to get your emotions going. And if you're crying, if you're a crier or whatever, that's great. And if you're not, that's fine too. But if you can get your feelings triggered enough that you're getting up those real emotions to the surface, not keeping them buried, you got to get them to the top here where you can really feel it, in you. You got to pay attention to your body and like where these feelings are at, you know, and like you got to get it triggered up in you, present with you and stay with it, like don't hide it. Don't push it down deep in you so you don't know where it is. You got to get these feelings triggered because this is the way to heal. Sorry to say for everyone. If you don't have those feelings get brought up, you can't heal them, obviously. So you got to get that situation triggered. You got to get your feelings triggered so you can have those emotions and think about it and feel, you know, where it is in you, got to pay attention to that. So you have to, for one thing, like I was saying, you have to get your feelings brought up to the surface and keep them there. And think about the situation and like the present one, if there is one, and the first time it happened. You all the other times in between, that you want to think about the present moment. If there's something that happened presently, and then the root of it, if you heal the root of it, you're gonna get healed eventually. Not the second and the hundredth and the 200th, whatever time it happened. Got to get to the root of it. First time it happened, that's really gonna actually heal you. You know, thinking of the root of it. But you have to think of the present moment too, and all the other people. You can do this for anyone and everyone in your life, wherever, anything you actually remember happening, anyone that ever did anything, you can do this for any time, but you have to get to the root of it though, So it can be for the second or the 50th time it happened, but like I'm saying, you have to get to the root of it too. So if you want to do that for whichever time it happened or all of them or and the root, think about, the people. Let's say one person said something and then there's the first time it happened, you have to involve yourself in this too for this process. So you have to get your feelings brought up to the surface. Just feel those nasty feelings you don't want to feel because that's the way it's going to actually heal. Now, you have to um uh don't I got to looking at my paper and I'm not sure what I was saying, but it's all on here, so I'll eventually say it in whatever order needs to be said. But you can't whatever. That was ridiculous. I don't know why I did that. I got to reading this note here because I was trying to make sure I'm telling you all of what I want to tell you. Oh, I know. So the thing is, what you want to do when you're healing, the first thing I have here is have a voice. Two is don't avoid pain and you feel your pain, maybe which should be number one. And then have a voice. I don't know. I don't know why I can't make up my mind about those two numbers, but anyway. So what you have to do is make sure you are not lashing out at the person. Do not lash out at people or you're not going to heal. Do not yell. Do not do anything like that. Do not let your anger control you. You have to let your pain get brought up, your crying emotions, those emotions, not the angry emotions. You see what I'm saying? The hurt emotions, not the mad, not the defensive emotions, the healing emotions, the crying, hurt emotions. You got to get them brought up to the surface and deal with them. Don't make anger a part of it and deal with that. That's not going to heal you. So, the thing you got to do, we all need people in our lives, but can heal you for you. You got to heal your own self. We all got to care about each other's feelings and we all got to pay attention to each other's feelings and take care of each other's feelings. But you don't save people, which makes people feel unloved and unaccepted. You don't heal other people for them. You accept all of them hurt and mad and unhealed and healed and happy and whatever else as they are. You accept all of that and let them heal themselves when and how they want to, or not necessarily how specifically, but each person can kind of figure out what to do about this, I guess. But this is basically what I think heals people the most, you know. If you leave out some of this, you might not get as healed maybe. But I gather this from watching people. I don't gather this from my own self being alone. This isn't the way that works. I gather this from people, you know, how I see people interacting with each other, you know. This is what I see in people, how people get healed. You can't get your army to heal you for you in this process, you know, whatever and whoever that is, and lash out at people and get mad and angry and defend yourself and whatever else. That's not going to heal you because I see people doing that in the spiritual field. And I don't see how they're healing themselves. So you got to heal yourself a little bit about this, you know. Even if you do it with another person, you definitely can have another person there with you, a friend or whatever, holding your hand or giving you a hug or sitting beside you or whatever you need, you know. You don't have to do this alone, but you're going to have to do this alone in your mind or in your, you know, in you, because your feelings are the only ones that are in you. You know, mine are in me, yours are in you, you know. So you got to do this a little bit alone like that in you, but you can have people with you if you need people to be. But so you got to get the feelings brought up. Let's say that's number one. I'll make sure I do this that way on my website. Two, have a voice about what hurt you. You tell me that me saying that the pen mark is ugly hurt you, but you got to tell the root person that said it that too. But and I must not also do this the wrong way too, and they must not either. Let's say there's three people involved in this. You, me, the present situation, you and me, and then the root. you and them, three people. You must not, I must not, they must not lash out at each other. It's not going to heal us. None of us. That's already in all of us to know that. But just to repeat what we all know, you must not lash out at me to tell me how you feel. You need to let your emotional self be present, not your mad self, not your lashing out defensive self. Let your guard down and be vulnerable while you do this, but let yourself have feelings though. You got to tell me, you have to, however you talk verbally, obviously you can with English, but if someone can't, and they use sign language, they have to do it that way. However you do, don't, give someone the middle finger, like that. Like, don't say, that's me talking to you. That's not talking. That's not communicating. And people do that to themselves so much. You got to keep that out of it too. You got to keep your lashing out of this. You have to let yourself cry or whatever it is, feelings, hurt feelings, sad feelings that you have, let that get brought up to the surface. And have a voice in a emotional way or whatever, but not so much that you can't talk maybe, but you got to get all the words out that you want to say, every last word that you want to say. But do not be abusive, and I must not, and the other person must not be. You must not let that part of all, which is in all of us, we must not let that be our voice. Our voice is our authentic self, our real self, whatever is actually hurt, whatever actually wants to have a voice that the root person maybe told you not to, probably did, most likely someone or another told you not to have a voice. I know I'm not perfect and I can hurt people, but I will not tell you not to have a voice. The other person might have, but I'm not doing that to you. You can tell me whatever I've ever done or said that hurt you, and then we can get to the root of it, and vice versa. I want to be able to do that with you too, you know, but not in a lashing out way. You cannot get out of control and lose track of what's really going on and the root of it. To You have to have a voice. You have to completely say whatever you want to say. Be authentic. Don't say you and you did this, you must, whatever. That's not being authentic. Say, I feel this way. Whatever, that's being authentic. Whenever you take on you talking for you, not lashing out or anything else either. You say exactly how it made you feel and why, but you got to get to the root of it. Don't say on the surface level things and avoid the root of it either. So you have your voice, you tell them exactly what you want to tell them, and you know, you have to accept that you have these feelings, these hurt feelings. Don't avoid having these feelings. I say number 3 is love yourself and others unconditionally. But maybe it should. I should have actually done this before, but this is annoying. I know, but I'll straighten this out and make sure you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's just keep it this way. So 1 is feel your pain. Don't avoid pain. 2 is have a voice. 3 is love yourself and others unconditionally. The root of you getting hurt by them is what you have to heal. And me saying also, you have to love yourself unconditionally. Let yourself have all these feelings that you have. Don't say you shouldn't feel this way. Here's the thing. They have a root too about that situation, why they said the mean thing to you. It's not for you to get to the root of it necessarily for them and heal them or anything, but you got to get to the root of it for in your own mind to heal yourself. Why they said what they said. There's no way I'm going to tell you there's some ugly pen mark on your face. That's ridiculous. I couldn't care less if you have a pen mark on your face. And I could think of maybe a better example, but I'm not going to. You can do that. What everything and anything that's ever hurt you that actually honestly hurts you, you have to get to the root of it. And if there is a, like I said, present moment, you and that person, you have to heal that too. But so the thing to do is to understand that they have a root. It's very simple to understand. They have a root too, and so do I. I could think of a better example just because it would help too. Because I don't care if you have a pen mark on your face, but let's say I cared for some reason. Maybe someone said that to me in my childhood and made me feel not good enough because maybe I was a messy child and always had pen marks on my face or something, which I didn't necessarily, but I might have. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe, and maybe this couldn't hurt us so much. Maybe something else could more. So whatever actually does, you have to get to the root of it. But let's just say, for an example, let's say since I'm giving you this example, let's say the pen mark thing. I said that mean thing to you because someone else said it to me in my childhood, and I didn't heal it. That's why. You got to get to the root of it, for each person. Not heal me for me. That's my own responsibility, not yours. And you got to get to the root of it for your own life, though. The first time someone said it to you, not the billionth time. They have a root too. That's why they said it. You know, you got to understand that. You got to let them be hurt too. You have to understand as an adult, whoever has hurt you has a root. We all got to do this. And it's nasty, but we have to. To actually heal, you have to, as an adult, take responsibility for this part of you. You being an adult and understanding adults, for instance, this other adult that hurt you in your childhood, whoever, your great aunt Sally or whoever it is, she said the pen mark was ugly, the first time and kept saying it. Someone did that to her too, maybe, or there's some root of it. There's some reason she's being nasty. There's a root to it. Or my parents got a divorce when I was 5 or 7. There's a root to them being nasty and hurt and taking it out on me if they did or whatever. And I know you and me have that in common. So, whatever root thing hurt you about one specific thing that they did or said, you got to get to the root of it. They have roots too, even though they were supposed to take care of us. As an adult, you got to do this part of it because that's the way to heal. So let's say the great Aunt Sally, hurt you, your feelings from your childhood, kept saying the pen mark is ugly on your face. And then I did, of, you know, whatever, as an example. So let's say you're trying to heal this about me and her. You know, you got to do both. You can't just do one or the other, kind of, but you must get to the root of it. You absolutely have to get to the root of it and understand all the other people after that and her, wherever. You got to understand that we all have roots. Uh, you can't leave it on the surface level as we all don't have roots, because we all do. So you got to give yourself unconditional love. You must not put conditions on yourself or the other person. You must not say you can't feel that way, because you are allowed to be hurt. You have to accept your feelings, anything and everything that you feel, and good and bad and whatever else. Bad, I say bad because it's not bad to be a person. No one's bad for being a person and being imperfect or hurt or mad or whatever else. You gotta let them have their own root. You can't put conditions on them and say that, whatever conditions you want to put on them, that isn't gonna help you heal. But before I say validate your feelings, so you got to go through this process of talking and validate your feelings. Tell them you're allowed to have feelings, but don't lash out at them. You must not lash out at them or me, and I must not lash out at you, and they must not lash out at you. If they're lashing out at you, you can walk away and then come back to the conversation. And if you can get it to be, or you got to do this in your own head without them here, either way, no lashing out though from anyone. If you're going through this process and then you hear them in your head lashing out at you, you got to stop it. I want you to do this process in your head with them and me. Do this, like I said. If you're doing that, you got to stop and then come back to it. You got to get it where none of us are lashing out at each other. See what I'm saying? In your mind, if you're thinking about me and them, us three, you, me, and them, all three of us need to, in your mind, not be lashing out at each other and not be, mad at each other. You got to do this where if you're doing that, like I said, stop and then come back to it and do the whole process again. And in your mind, whenever you're ready to let it be that you're not lashing out, they're not lashing out, I'm not lashing out, then you can keep going with this process. Validate your feelings. Tell me and them that you have feelings, that you're allowed to have your feelings, that you don't need to hide your feelings, that you're not ashamed of them, that all these things. Make sure you're saying all these things to yourself, to me, to them. Let yourself have all of these feelings. Validate your feelings, as much as you can without lashing out, though. Not, you can't get in a state of mind where you're lashing out. You got to get rid of that madness and anger and do this process as many times as you need to. Do it, stop it where you're having a problem, and then go back. That can help. Don't keep going with it and then bury stuff and then not do it correctly. So you're getting unhealed more and staying unhealed, You see what I'm saying? You have to, if you're having a problem with number 2, go back to number 1 and start again. And then whenever you can heal, sorry, this, this is what you have to do. You have to let yourself have feelings. I hate doing this on camera, but it's good too, so you can get what I'm saying. You know, you don't see me this way very much, and I hate doing this, but because I hate feelings myself. But it's good to have feelings because I'm doing this for you because it's real. Because you're a real person. Because you really actually matter to me. So I want you to see that I have feelings. Because you, we're all hurt, but we all have to get to the root of it. And I want you to see that you actually matter to me. So, oh well, I hate feelings and I hate doing this. And I usually don't do this on camera, but I get choked up a lot because my moon sign is so emotional. But so you got to get to the root of this and validate your feelings. You have to tell the other person that you're allowed to have feelings. You can't hide your feelings and say you shouldn't have them because you should. So under this is a little bit of notes. Be authentic, like this. This is authentic. And know you and be you, and you got to get all your feelings all in one place at least. Don't We all have these kinds of different in us, so you don't have to get it all to be one, but you gotta do this where you're getting all these parts of you in one kind of room with you, in the situation room where this is happening with you and me. If you're telling me, something, you gotta be all in one place with me and let me see all of you. That's gonna heal you. Don't hide. You gotta be your authentic self and know you. Know what is going on with you and and tell me about it. And if you're doing this with me, actually, I will let you talk. If you're doing this in your mind, you gotta get me in your mind where I'm letting you talk. Or if you still are having me in your mind not gonna hear what you have to say, stop right there and then go back and do it again to where you can get me in your mind to let you talk all about your feelings and all this, and the other person to the root of it. You have to keep practicing this till you can, or if you're doing this in person, if I'm with you in person and I'm accepting all of what you're saying, and like I said, you have to get to the root of it. You can't be adding extra stuff to it and not getting to the root of it. You gotta leave out the extra mad and whatever else stuff. You have to get to the root of it and tell me how you feel. Don't leave out anything that you feel, but you have to get to the root of it. And that's why I made the Jupiter videos, the 2 videos, just this recently, today and just this past week. You got to get to the root of whatever it is that you feel, not stay on the surface level. And so you have to validate your feelings and get all of you in one place at least, not you as one maybe, but all in one place, and be authentic. Say, I feel this way, whatever. Don't tell the other person that they're anything. And 5, tell yourself that you have self-worth and no mistakes. and tell the other person. Tell me and tell the other person. And with this, you have to put value on yourself that you're allowed to have these feelings. You can't bury them and say that you shouldn't have feelings because it's not going to help you heal if you do that. I truly believe there's no mistakes as a person. Like, you can call the mistakes whatever, learn from them. I don't care, but I don't. If we're getting drunk together, I don't care if you call it a mistake or not, but I don't. There's some root to it. So you got to heal the root or whatever it is that's happening at the moment. That's maybe a coping mechanism. So you got to get to the root of the first time you did that. Why, what made you want to do that? Maybe, you know, why I'm doing that, whatever. You got to get to the root of it and figure out what actually is going on, and give yourself self-worth, and that there's no mistakes in this. Anything that you're doing, good and bad and whatever else, why you're doing this, is living a certain way. You're allowed to be whatever way you are. So you have to say to yourself and me and the other person that you're worth it, that there's some people that want to take out word, and I hate doing that. So I don't like saying that. I like accepting that we have the languages that we have and that we can use the words that we have. Don't put value on the words like that it's a certain value, like you deserve something this much or that much. You deserve something as much as you can deserve it. And you have self worth as much as you can. I don't mean as much as you think you can. I mean as much as you are worth it. We're completely worth it. Completely worth it is what you have to keep in mind. Completely deserving. Not half, not some, not a fourth. Completely. You completely deserve to say that you're worth it and that you have full self worth. You need that, not to say half of you deserves to be healed or to have a voice. All of you deserves to. So number one is you can't avoid your pain. You have to have your feelings get brought up to the surface. Number two is have a voice. And number three is love yourself and the other person or two people unconditionally. And four, keep then validating your feelings, being one in one place anyway, letting the person see all of you, not being afraid of them being able to see all of you. You have to accept all of you and know all of you and be authentic. Say, I feel a certain way. And you can subtract and add the numbers as you want. Say, this is with that one if you want, if it's your own little process, whatever you have. But this is my own little process of what I have. So what I thought can heal because of me watching people how they heal and what they don't how they don't heal. So number five, like I said, is self worth and no mistakes. And you don't idealize or compete with people. You got to keep all of us equal. And you got to own your feelings, and the other person needs to own themselves too. But to heal, you don't got to make the other person own something. You got to heal on your own. But let's say number five, I say also with this is belonging. You, if we have some kind of friendship or whatever else, if we're belonging together, we gotta find the similarities in us. We gotta keep doing that, not finding the differences and getting farther apart. We gotta see how we're alike. And in your own mind, you can see how you're alike with the other person. You can't say we're not alike because that's not true. And six is boundaries. Like I said, you have to make sure you know what your boundaries are. And for this process, in your own mind at least, tell me what they are and the other person what they are. Whatever your root beliefs and boundaries are. And you have to um you know, like I was saying, we all have talents and good things about us and loving stuff about us and whatever else like that. We all have our own inner demons and stuff, and you gotta accept all of that about each other. That we've all been hurt and developed throughout life. You know, our brains have been developed, our personalities have been developed. You gotta accept it about you, me, and the other person. You gotta accept the good and the bad about each one of us. And so, with I should have said this before. Number three, black and white thinking. Whenever you say, "Well, this person's bad or good because they did this or that," you gotta get rid of that way of thinking. You gotta accept all of them in one. Not that you have to be in that situation room with me and be all one person. If you want to have your own separate personalities hurt and unhealed, that's fine because it takes time. But you want to know about all of these and get it all in one room at least with us. Don't think black and white thinking, good and bad. You know, you did this, now I hate you, or now I love you, or now I want to kill you, or now I want to hug you and protect you. Think we all have that. You need to accept it all about you and accept it all about me and the other person. We need to do that for each other. We all don't do this for everyone, maybe. But to heal yourself, you're going to have to do this on your own, maybe, or do it with me, or, the other person if you can, or whatever. But you have to accept all of you as one, even if it's all in hurt parts. Accept that it's all about you. It's all you, good and bad and hurt and whatever else you want to call it. You have to accept that about you. This is number three, I say, with the love yourself and the other person unconditionally. You have to accept all of the person, and the way to do that is to give them unconditional love. Don't put conditions on them and say you have to do things a certain way. And to heal, like I said, don't do this in a passive aggressive, here's a moment that I'm doing this kind of a way. Accept the person all as being one person, even if they're in parts. Accept everything about them. And whenever these feelings come up, you can do this in stages as the feelings come up. Whenever it gets up here, you can, move on to the next level, of this. And what you want to do, I like glow in the dark green colors. So this is what I thought of. Or a heart's love, have like an aura around you. and in you, flowing through you, and even towards me. And the mean thing I said about the pen mark on your face and the other person, but accept that I'm doing this for you too. And I don't know about the other person because I don't know what root there is. Not that I actually said this about the pen mark, not that I would, but if I did, you gotta come up with examples. Of I'm just coming up with examples of how to do this, but you have to get to the actual root of it. And whenever you're talking to me about whatever I did, or if I'm talking with you about whatever you said or did or whatever, there's a root. So if I actually get to talk to you about something, I want to talk with you about the root too. But I honestly would have this towards you, this love or a hearts glow in the dark things or a white light or whatever you want it to be. This aura around you of unconditional love and accepting the other person, understanding that they have a root and not pushing that away. You you can't. You have to be vulnerable and let your feelings be soft and vulnerable, not mean and not with walls. Have these are roses. Maybe you like roses. So have these roses towards this person's aura of roses, like flowing through you and towards the person and back to you, and accept that they have a root. And that's with three, though. And then after that is validate your feelings, talk if you can, or wait till the feelings, you got to get them brought up, but wait till they get brought up so much that you have them so much that after you can talk again. Then you do three with the roses or the hearts or whatever. Then you do four, like I said, validate your feelings and stuff. You know, you have to do that and let yourself have these feelings and keep in mind that the other people have a root, and especially me towards you. I want to give you unconditional love and understanding and not hurt you, even though I'm imperfect and do that. But you have to trust that someone wants to do that for you, like me, for instance. To have like this aura going towards me and back to you. You can't do this in a passive aggressive way. Like I said, you have to do it in a way that's authentic and real and accepting all of me, not parts of me that you like or aren't afraid of. Like, you can't be afraid of parts of me. You have to accept all of me and be okay with all of me and understand all of me. Do that for yourself first of all, and then me and the other person. That's what can actually make you heal. But don't do it in a passive aggressive way where you're hiding your feelings and saying there's time for this. The time is all. Time is because you accept all the good and the bad and the whatever else about yourself and me and whoever else. And with number four, validate your feelings. I came up with this thing. I said, don't take the fun out of things, out of stuff session. With number four, I said, validate your feelings. This can maybe get you to not be passive aggressive. Maybe take, don't, this might not work. I mean, I don't know. You have to do this plus this might not work for all of it. It might work for part of it. I mean, what you have to do is get you to have the fun time while you're doing this, and the not fun time of doing this. Your good and your bad feelings all in one. Have Try doing this while you're doing something fun with the other person. Maybe don't do this in a serious way where you can't be an authentic person. Like this little fun session. It's not for taking away from. I'm sorry if I get my words mixed up, but that's what I do sometimes. My Mercury and Capricorn. You got to do this where you're having this fun session time with a person where you're accepting that you're each other is fun to be around, not that you're always serious, not that you're always boring and whatever else, because we're not that way. You know, people aren't, or maybe there are some, I don't know. But you have to do this where you're letting the other person be their fun self. Do this while you're doing that, but have the annoying feelings come up that you don't want to have. But don't do it in a passive aggressive way where it's like a time for this. Do it while you're trying to be your authentic self and have fun or something. You know, maybe that can help with a passive aggressiveness. Like there's not a time for this. It's all the time. You see what I'm saying? So don't hide your feelings and don't push away your feelings and say there's a time for this because there's not. It's for all the time. So number one is don't avoid pain, and you have to feel the pain. Number two is have a voice. Number three is love yourself and the other person unconditionally and get rid of the black and white thinking, the split thinking you're mean now and you're nice then. Accept all of them all the time. And part three is the glow in the dark, whatever, roses or hearts or however you want to imagine this going through towards them, and back to you. Number four is validate your feelings and have that. Don't take the fun out of things session so they can see and you can see that you're both fun to be around. Have all of your parts in the room with you. Be authentic self. Know what you really are truly feeling and say, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way. Not tell them how they are. And five, you have to give yourself self-worth and them too, and the other person, the third person, the root. And know that you're not making any mistakes throughout life. Uh, with having bad feelings or getting drunk with me, or if that's what we were doing, or whatever it is, good and bad and everything else. As an example, I'm just giving you an example of what is bad, what people say is bad. Don't hide that. If that's what we're doing, we can't hide that and like say it's bad. And give yourself self-worth and that there's no mistakes and that there's probably a root. um Coping mechanisms is a big part of life. We have many of them, maybe, and don't idealize or compete with each other. You have to get it in your mind, if that's where you're doing it or with that actual person in real life. We're all on the same level and we all especially like you and me, we belong with each other. Like we have similarities. You have to think that way. And you own you and let me own me. Don't idealize or compete or have different levels. And six, I said boundaries. You have to tell each other what they are. Maybe if you want the other person to know what they are, and say, I respect your boundaries, you respect mine, whatever. Or if you're not in person with them, tell yourself what your own boundaries are. In your mind, tell them what they are. Know what they are for yourself. So you know what you want from yourself and people. And goes back to number one then, but you do that number one step in the end of it too. You have to keep in mind we're all hurt. We've all been developed. We all have roots. We all have the good and the bad, the talents and the weaknesses and the whatever else. And we all can learn from each other. You have to keep that in mind too. You gotta be vulnerable to do this though. Let yourself have feelings. You can't have a time for this and then go about your day and get all passive aggressive again and unhealed and buried. You got to keep yourself unburied and be one, like in the same room. Let all the parts of you be in the same room with you, and let me see all the parts of you, and then me do that too about me. You can't hide anything. At least if you're not doing this with another person, do this in your own mind. Where in this situation room, whatever hurt you, and then from the root they come into it, and you get all the parts of you in the room with you, accept all of you, and let the other person in your mind see all of you. And like I said, if you're having a problem with one of the steps, go back before you go on. Go back and start it again till you can actually do it. Don't force past anything that you can't do. You got to get yourself to do each thing and keep doing that. This practice, it's a practice. You got to keep doing this all the time. Everyone has to. It's not something that you do once. It's not the way humans are. So anyway, that's that. If I want to add something to this, I will then. But I hope this helps you, and I'll be making more astrology videos for you. Um, yeah. So thanks for watching, anyone that does, and feel free to comment.